Hello everyone, warm welcome to Regulatory Bodies YouTube channel by Testbook. My name is Madhav Sir. I welcome you all in a very important session which we call it as Finance Current Affairs. And today we are going to discuss the most important current affairs of 7th and 8th of February. You know this very well that in this session we not only cover the news related to the financial world, banking world, but we also discuss the RBI updates in much detail. I'm pretty sure that you must have watched the previous session yesterday in which we have discussed the monetary policy and I would say after almost 5 years RBI has cut the repo rate. RBI has decreased the repo rate in order to push the private consumption so that we can achieve the growth estimate targets for GDP. If you haven't watched that video, then I would request you after this live session, do check out the live section of this channel itself. And yesterday, monetary policy related video, or I would say the session has been done. Do cover that session for sure. So let's begin the discussion, guys. Before I start, may I have a reply in the comment section that I'm audible, visible, everything is fine, we are good to go, so that we can start the discussion without any further delay. Chaliye. So here we go with the first news of the day. But before I start with the discussion, if you want to download the PDF of this session, guys, then the PDF of this session will be available. PDF of this session will be available on the same platform, that is Economics by Madhav Sir. This is the channel. You can join this channel by directly scanning the code, and after scanning the code you can join the channel and the PDF will be available on the same. Here we go with the first news of the day. The first news talks about, please pay attention, this is really very important. This news says, working group on comprehensive review of trading and settlement, timings of markets regulated by Reserve Bank. So what is this all about? In the yesterday's session itself, in the monetary policy itself, RBI latest monetary policy discussion was done. Monetary policy was presented by the governor of RBI. During his speech, he has also talked about that RBI is going to set up a working group. RBI is going to set up a working group, and this working group will be coming up with a report, related to what are the required changes, what are the updates need to be done, required changes, updates need to be done, especially in the markets which are regulated by RBI. That could be money market, that could be forex market, and many other markets which are operating. In the previous session, I have discussed briefly about this group. Now we will be discussing in much detail, so please pay attention. So I'll start my discussion, but before I say, if you haven't watched the yesterday's video on monetary policy, this is really very important. Go back after this session and do watch this session, and do comment in the comment section how was the session, what all new things you learned, and how it was helpful for you. Now, the point of discussion is, in the latest monetary policy, as a part of statement on development and regulated policies, which was presented on 7th of February 2025, Reserve Bank has announced that Reserve Bank will be setting up working group, and this working group will be reviewing the trade and settlement timings, of markets which are regulated by RBI. And after reviewing the entire market operations, they will be coming up with their report, and that report will be submitted in front of RBI, and then RBI, if required, will take the required or desired actions. Now, the most important part is, so who is going to be the chairman? Who is going to be the chairman of this particular committee? So in the last session, we have discussed this briefly, but today we will be discussing in much detail. So the next point is, this working group which has been set up, who all are included? The first and the most important name is Radha Shyam Ratho. Who is he? Sir, he is the executive director of RBI, and he will be serving as the chairperson of this particular committee. So this is really very important. If I talk about the most important segment over here is that the working group which has been set up by RBI, which will be reviewing the trade and settlement timings of different markets which are regulated by RBI, that particular committee will be headed by whom? So that particular committee will be headed by Radhashyam Ratho. Who is he? Sir, Radhashyam Ratho is the executive director of RBI. Along with that, we have many other eminent personalities. I've just given the list. Read it. No one is going to ask you. The question which will be asked, that is only and only related to the name of the chairman. The next point is what all areas are going to be reviewed. If I discuss about those areas, please pay attention. If we talk about the areas which are going to be reviewed, the concepts, the discussions which are going to be done, this working group is going to review the current trading and settlement timings. What are the trade timings? What are the settlement timings for various financial markets which are regulated by RBI? Along with that, it will check the functioning hours of the market. It will check the clearing and settlement timings as well as the reporting of transactions. So all these areas, all these segments of the markets will be reviewed very minutely. First. Second is, it will identify the frictions, that means the challenges as well as the issues if they are prevailing related to the current functioning of the markets, that is related to market trading as well as market settlement. So first of all, we'll review what is happening. Along with reviewing what is happening, this committee will also check out the challenges related to the same. And next is to examine the cross-country practices relating to market timings and their influence, if any, on market development in terms of participation, liquidity and volumes. Not only this, they will also examine that if we are talking about forex market, that is foreign exchange market, what should be the timings of foreign exchange market so that we can keep it in sync with the international markets, which will help these markets to perform well, which will help to manage the liquidities in a better manner. So which financial market being regulated by RBI? Then the answer is, if I talk about the markets, one is money market, which is regulated by RBI. Second is forex market. Foreign exchange market is regulated by RBI. These are the two markets which are the part of financial market are regulated by RBI. But if I talk about capital market, it is regulated by SEBI. I hope you know that. Now, to examine the implication, including benefits, costs, challenges, if any, will be done, that if we are changing the timings, if we are changing the settlement process, what is going to be the cost, what is going to be its impact, all these things are also going to be analyzed while giving the report. So finally, after taking up all the, I would say, understanding of each and every aspect, then the working group will invite other stakeholders for consultation if required. The other stakeholders will be invited for consultation if required. And finally, on 30th of April 2025, this group is going to submit its report. So this group is going to submit its report by 30th of April 2025. So I hope all the detail which has been mentioned is crystal clear. So what all things you need to remember? First one is, sir, as the statement on development and regulatory policy, which was announced yesterday during the monetary policy announcement, there was an announcement that working group, that means a committee will be set up by RBI, which will review the timings as well as the settlement, the trading and the settlement timings of the markets which are regulated by RBI, especially the financial markets which are regulated by RBI. And for that, a committee has been set up, and the chairman of this committee is going to be R.S. Ratho, who is the executive director of RBI, will be the chairman of this particular committee. It will review timings related to trading, settlement, all the challenges will be reviewed. These timings will be managed in such a manner that it will in sync with the international or cross-border markets, cross-border transactions, and even it will look in depth. Even this committee will look in depth related to all the challenges for the same. Even this committee will invite the other stakeholders to come up with the recommendations, and their recommendations will also be considered. And by 30th of April 2025, report will be submitted to RBI by this group. Is it clear, everyone? If it is clear, just give me yes, sir, so that we can move ahead. If you haven't liked the session yet, I would request you quickly hit the like button as well. If it is clear, just give me yes sir guys, so that I can move on to the next news, and if you have any doubt, you may ask please. I hope Gagandeep Singh, your doubt is clear. Akash, Nitin, Gagandeep, and to all whosoever is present live, if the session is or the news is clear, just give me yes sir, so that I can move ahead. Chaliye, let's move on to the next news. If I move on to the next news is related to RBI. No, so next news is not related to RBI, it is related to NaBFID. What is NaBFID? If you remember, in this 5:15 p.m. session itself, I have discussed NaBFID in much detail, which we call it as National Bank for Infrastructure and Development. So National Bank for Infrastructure Development is the fifth All India financial institute after NABARD, SEBI, Exim and NHB. So recently this bank, this institute was in news. So let's check out what is the news. So National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development has announced that it has extended 2,000 crore rupees of loan. So NaBFID has extended 2,000 crore rupees of loan to a Mumbai based company. The name is G-Tech Private Limited. The name is Gramercy Private Limited. You just remember it as G-Tech Private Limited. It is easy to remember. So G-Tech Private Limited, and this G-Tech Private Limited, it is backed by a New York based alternative investment management company. The name is Blackstone. So this news is more important because of this Blackstone, because Blackstone is one of the important investment companies which has invested in most of the has invested in most of the startups which has grown really very well in the past. So why this loan has been announced? So this loan has been announced with a sole motive that this company, G-Tech Private Limited, will be setting up 120 megawatt of data center at Navi Mumbai. So 120 megawatt of data center will be set up in Navi Mumbai. For that particular purpose, this loan has been announced. So this will be the second such data center in New Mumbai, and the construction is expected to start by mid-25. So this will be the second such data center of G-Tech Private Limited, and this time they have received 2,000 crore rupees from All India Financial Institute, and the name of this institution is NaBFID. Next point which is important. So these data centers, they are really very important these days. Why they are really very important these days? The reason is enterprises are rapidly shifting their business to digital platform. That means majority businesses these days are performing operations on digital platform. And if they are performing operations on digital platform, there is a requirement of data centers. Second is the increased accessibility of high-speed data. The increased accessibility of high-speed data thanks to Jio and other broadband connections, and even BharatNet, the initiative taken by the government, it has led to the increase in internet use. And if the internet use has increased, obviously data center requirement has increased. Not only this, the cherry on the cake is your artificial intelligence. With the immense use as well as advancement of artificial intelligence, we require, or I would say the economy requires stronger and larger capacity of data centers in the country. Last but not the least is, if I talk about these data centers as a whole, sir, in general, these data centers, they have a debt to equity ratio of 80:9. Why? So these are huge investment related companies, and in these investment related companies, 80:20 ratio has been witnessed for debt and equity. For debt and equity, we have 80% of debt, 20% of equity as per CRISIL's rating. If you remember, we have discussed CRISIL Rating Limited in the previous session, and in the previous session we have discussed that according to CRISIL, Indian GDP is going to grow by what percent? So India's GDP is going to increase by 6.4%, or GDP growth rate is 6.4% for 2024-25. Say yes or no in the comment section. According to CRISIL rating, India is requiring an investment of 55 to 65,000 crores in order to meet the need regarding the data center. So in order to meet the demand for data centers, India will witness, or India is requiring to witness the investment of 55,000 to 65,000 crores in the next 3 financial years as per CRISIL. Got it, guys? I hope this news is clear. So GTech Private Limited, 2,000 crore rupees, NABFID, that must be clear. Data center must be clear. It is the second data center which is developed, which is going to be developed by GTech Private Limited in Navi Mumbai. And as per CRISIL, India is going to attract 55 to 65,000 crore of investment in next 3 financial years for fulfilling the data center demand. And I guess the last point which is important is that is related to equity and debt investment. It's 20:80, that is equity to debt ratio is 20:80 ratio as proposed because of the huge investment, I would say, attraction or the huge investment requirement in these centers or in these units because they are capital intensive centers. Moving on to the next point. The next point says in February 2025 itself, NaBFID has raised 5,000 crore rupees through 15-year bond at a cutoff rate at 7.25%. So recently, if I talk about NaBFID, which is providing you loan, हम कह रहे हैं कि सर NaBFID लोन देगा, लेकिन what is the source of funds for NaBFID? भैया NaBFID के पास पैसा कहां से आएगा? तो NaBFID लोन लेता पब्लिक से, and that loan is borrowed in the form of debt instruments. And this time the debt instrument which I am mentioning over here, it's a bond, and the maturity of this bond is 15 years, और इसका जो cut off rate है that is 7.25%, और 5,000 करोड़ रुपए लोन लिए गए हैं in the month of February itself. इतना ही नहीं, गवर्नमेंट की एक बहुत बड़ी कंपनी है, the largest finance corporation of India or government, that is Power Finance Corporation. So Power Finance Corporation ने भी recently 4,000 करोड़ के आसपास फंड रेजिंग की है फ्रॉम द पब्लिक, अगेन विद द हेल्प ऑफ बॉन्ड. सो व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से विद दिस डेटा, ये डेटा मैं आपके सामने इसलिए लाया हूं ताकि आपको क्लैरिटी हो जाए कि ये जो हमारी डेवलपमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं या most of the organizations which provide loan for the purpose of development, expansion, growth, they basically raise the funds through bonds, they raise the funds through debt instruments from the domestic market and even from the international market. The same thing is true for your international development organizations as well. World Bank, IMF, ADB, कभी सोचा है उनके source of funds क्या है? उनके source of funds भी same है. They issue the bonds, they raise the funds, and that raised amount is further lended in order to achieve the targets of growth, in order to achieve the target of development in different parts of the earth or in different parts of globe. Is it clear? Yes, PFC is Maharatna company. That is absolutely correct. Moving on to the next news. After NABFID, now I have the second All India Financial Institute which is in news, and the second All India Financial Institute which is in news is NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. NABARD was in news with respect to Himachal Pradesh or in relation to Himachal Pradesh, and the fact or the value which you need to remember is around 903 crore rupees. So what is this news all about? So NABARD has recently sanctioned 127 projects of value 903 crore rupees for Himachal Pradesh. So we know that NABARD is the development organization. It provides loan for the development purpose. It provides loan. RBI money inject कर रहा है, NABFID absorb कर रहा है. No, that is wrong, Akash. NABFID ने जो पैसा आपको लग रहा है कि absorb किया from the public by issuing the bonds, उसी पैसे को फर्दर लोन पर देकर मार्केट में दोबारा सर्कुलेट भी तो कर दिया. 2,000 करोड़ रुपए का जो लोन दिया है वो डेटा सेंटर बनाने के लिए, वो पैसा इकोनॉमी में ही तो सर्कुलेट होगा. वो तो ज्यादा बेटर हुआ ना, बिकॉज जो पैसा पब्लिक के पास आया, क्योंकि पब्लिक ने क्या किया था, पब्लिक ने अपने जो ऑलरेडी परचेज गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज थी वो आरबीआई को बेच दी अंडर OMO, दैट इज ओपन मार्केट ऑपरेशन, जहां आरबीआई ने गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटी पब्लिक से परचेज की. अब पब्लिक के पास आ गया पैसा, उस पैसे का पब्लिक करे क्या? अब उस पैसे को अगर पब्लिक ने बॉन्ड में इन्वेस्ट किया तो उनको ज्यादा रिटर्न भी मिलेगा इन कंपैरिजन टू द प्रीवियस गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज. अब रिटर्न ज्यादा, और वो पैसा गया कहां सर? वो पैसा गया, जो पैसा अब इन्वेस्ट होगा इन द इकोनॉमी विच विल जनरेट एम्प्लॉयमेंट, इट विल जनरेट डिमांड फॉर रॉ मटेरियल, it will generate demand for labor, it will result in increase in GDP of the economy. So that is a good format. That is a good format, Akash. पैसा आरबीआई के पास आया, अब आरबीआई उसे सर्कुलेट करता पब्लिक तक, वो कैसे करेगा? तो आरबीआई भी तो उसे बैंक्स के जरिए सर्कुलेट करेगा, तो वो बैंक्स के जरिए सर्कुलेट होकर भी तो लोन की फॉर्म में आप तक पहुंचेगा। अब ये भी पैसा लोन की फॉर्म में आप तक पहुंच गया, आप तक इन द सेंस एक बोरोवर ने लोन लिया, अब वो कंस्ट्रक्शन करेगा, इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ होगी, एंड ऑफ द डे प्राइवेट कंजम्पशन इंक्रीज होगी, एंड जीडीपी रेट्स जो हम टारगेट कर रहे हैं we can achieve them. That is the point. Coming back to the news, NABARD has sanctioned 127 project totaling 903 crore rupees for Himachal Pradesh in the financial year 2024-25. तो फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2024-25 में 127 प्रोजेक्ट्स को क्या किया था, नाबार्ड ने सैंक्शन किया था, जिसका टोटल कितना था? जिसका टोटल था 903 करोड़ रुपए। पब्लिक वर्क्स डिपार्टमेंट की बात करूं तो 50 एमएलए प्रायोरिटी स्कीम अमाउंटिंग टू 412 करोड़। जल शक्ति विभाग की बात करूं तो 23 स्कीम्स टोटल ऑफ अराउंड 179 करोड़, और 70 करोड़ रुपए का जो फंड था, 70 करोड़ रुपीस फंड was allocated for the Palampur city beautification, 135 crore rupees for the sewage schemes and funds for the constructions of heliport in the region. ठीक है जी, तो ये सारे के सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स थे which were announced and sanctioned by NABARD, which were announced and sanctioned by NABARD. उसमें कुछ टारगेट्स भी थे. The targets were dairy processing plant, establishment of 1.5 lakh liter per day capacity dairy processing plant, कहाँ? At Dagwar in the Kangra district of Himachal Pradesh. Then electric bus charging station will be set up in the state. अब आता है point. State government is aiming to secure approval for additional MLA projects from NABARD by March 2025, and the allocation is going to be around 1,087 crore rupees for the RIDF. Under the RIDF, that is Rural Infrastructure Development Fund, for 2024-25 has been made, reflecting a 5.28% increase from the previous year. समझ आई ये बात? तो यहां पर नाबार्ड ने क्या क्या प्रोजेक्ट सैंक्शन किए फॉर हिमाचल प्रदेश, दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. उनकी क्या वैल्यू थी, 903 करोड़, दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. और अगर हम बात करें फर्दर, जो टारगेट है वो क्या सर? एडिशनल अप्रूवल चाहिए होगा, क्योंकि जो एलोकेशन है वो लगभग 1087 करोड़ रुपीस का हुआ है अंडर दी रूरल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट फंड, जो कि पहले के मुकाबले इंक्रीज है. अब अगर इंक्रीज है तो उसका इंक्रीज रिफ्लेक्शन इज बीइंग लुक्ड फॉरवर्ड बाय हिमाचल प्रदेश एज वेल. तो आपको याद क्या करना है यहां से? सिंपल 3 चीजें याद करनी है, 1 2 3 इस स्लाइड से, बस इतना ही याद करना है. उसके अलावा याद करना है अगला पॉइंट, 1.5 लाख लीटर पर डे कांगड़ा डिस्ट्रिक्ट में सेटअप होगा क्या? डेयरी प्रोसेसिंग प्लांट. और लास्ट में अगर हम बात करें आरआईडीएफ के लिए जो फंड एलोकेशन है, दैट इज 1087 करोड़. 5 चीजें याद कर लो. अगर इस न्यूज से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन आपके एग्जामिनेशन में आया, आई एम प्रीटी श्योर दैट यू आर गोइंग टू आंसर इट इन दी फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट इटसेल्फ. दोबारा पढ़ना भी नहीं पड़ेगा, क्वेश्चन सामने, आप आंसर दोगे, आगे निकल जाओगे. डन है जी. अगली न्यूज पे बढ़ते हैं. हम जानते हैं कि जब भी कभी 2 फाइनेंशियल कंपनीज, बैंक्स, NBFCs या जितनी भी फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं विच आर रेगुलेटेड बाय RBI, उनका मर्जर, their merger will be done only after, their merger is going to be done only after the approval given by RBI. तो शायद आपको याद हो white label ATM. What is white label ATM? White label ATM basically means a private company which is not a bank, which do not possess the banking license, is allowed to open up ATMs, that is automated teller machine, and these ATMs, they will provide services to the customers as an interbank ATM transaction service. So white label ATMs were introduced in India back in 2013, and the company to set up first white label ATM was Tata IndiCash, or the name of that ATM was IndiCash. And today the same IndiCash is in news. And what is the news all about? Please pay attention. RBI has approved Pindi to acquire 100% stake in TCPSL. Let's try to understand. Reserve Bank of India has recently approved Tata Communication Payment Solution Limited. RBI has recently approved that the TCPSL, that is Tata Communication Payment Solution Limited, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Tata Communication that operates white label ATM in India to sell its 100% stake to Transaction Solution International, the Indian subsidiary of Australian fintech Findi. So there is a Australian fintech which is known as Findi, and its subsidiary in India is named as what? So that is Transaction Solution. That is Transaction Solutions International. This Transaction Solution International is going to purchase the 100% stake of Tata Communication Payment Solution Private Limited, Payment Solution Limited, and this company is basically responsible for managing the white label ATMs, which were termed as what? They were termed as IndiCash. So this acquisition will undoubtedly strengthen the presence of Findis in the Indian financial market, and it will make Findi one of the largest ATM service provider, or one of the largest third-party ATM service provider in Asia, with around 12,000 ATMs totaling to the bucket of Findis. That is important. Second point which is important is, Sir, Findi will gain access to 3,000. Findi will gain access to 3,000 ATMs, of Tata IndiCash, or I would say IndiCash ATMs will be taken up by which organization? The answer to this particular organization is Findi. Remember that this acquisition was announced in November and now it has been approved. What is the value of acquisition? So the value of acquisition is 330 crores. So what do you need to remember from this? You need to remember this chart, which I just mentioned for you. Secondly, you need to remember 330 crore rupees. And lastly, you need to remember Tata IndiCash were the first white label ATM network which was set up in 2013 in India. And remember that first ATM of Tata IndiCash was set up in Mumbai, Thane. It was set up in Mumbai, Thane. So it was the first white label ATM which was introduced by the companies. Now, if you don't know what is the difference between white label, brown label and self-owned or blue label ATM, so please pay attention. Blue label ATM basically means the ATM which is owned as well as operated by a bank. The best example is the ATM which is situated in the bank's branch itself. Those are blue label ATMs. Then we have some brown label ATM. Brown label ATMs are those ATMs which are owned by private company against predefined fixed commission, which is a per transaction commission, but it is operated and managed. By bank. So what is the benefit? भाई मैं SBI हूँ, मुझे 10,000 ATM लगाने हैं, but I don't have time, I don't have desired capital to install 10,000 ATMs in the country. It's better कि एक प्राइवेट कंपनी से डील करूं कि सर आप मुझे 10,000 ATM लगा के दो, स्पेस आपकी, मशीन, सिक्योरिटी आपकी, AC जो चलेगा वो खर्चा आपका, सब कुछ आपका, मैं आपको पर ट्रांजैक्शन पे करूंगा या पर मंथ आपको चार्जेस पे करूंगा, व्हाटसोएवर द डील इज. तो प्राइवेट कंपनी आपको इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर देगी और बैंक उस इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को यूज करेगा टू प्रोवाइड यू विद द ATM सर्विसेज. ठीक, जनरली जब आप किसी एटीएम में जाएंगे यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू आइडेंटिफाई कि ये ब्राउन लेबल एटीएम है या ब्लू लेबल एटीएम है, क्योंकि दोनों के ऊपर लिखा SBI होगा, लेकिन ये जानना मुश्किल होगा कि इसे प्राइवेट कंपनी मैनेज कर रही है या फिर बैंक खुद मैनेज कर रहा है. दैट इज अ पॉइंट. तीसरा जो है दैट इज व्हाइट लेबल एटीएम. व्हाइट लेबल एटीएम का मतलब क्या होता है? सो व्हाइट लेबल एटीएम का मतलब है जब एक प्राइवेट कंपनी को RBI, प्राइवेट कंपनी का मतलब आप ये कहो कि एक नॉन फाइनेंशियल या नॉन बैंकिंग कंपनी इज अ गुड वर्ड, प्राइवेट इज नॉट अ गुड वर्ड. जब एक नॉन बैंकिंग कंपनी को RBI लाइसेंस देता है और RBI अलाउ करता है कि यू कैन ऑपरेट ऑन द इंडियाज ATM नेटवर्क, और आपको अलाउ किया जाता है टू एक्सेस नेशनल फाइनेंशियल स्विच विद विच यू विल बी सेटिंग अप द ATM. और इस ATM पर जब भी कोई कस्टमर आएगा, ऑब्वियसली आपका बैंक तो है नहीं, यू आर नॉट ओइंग अ बैंक, तो जो भी कस्टमर आएगा उसके लिए ये क्या होगी? इंटर बैंक ट्रांजेक्शन होगी, और उस इंटर बैंक ट्रांजेक्शन के चार्जेस होंगे एज पर द चार्जेस वी हैव डिस्कस्ड इन द प्रीवियस सेशन. याद है 21 रुपए को बढ़ाकर 22 रुपए कर दो. इंटर बैंक fees या intercharge fees should increase from 17 to 19 and 6 to 7 rupees. याद आ रहा है? How many of you can recall that data जो हमने last class में किया था? I guess जो थर्सडे को क्लास हुई थी उसी में बात की थी कि अब जो ट्रांजैक्शन चार्ज पे होगा by the customer, that will be 22 rupees after you consume all your free transactions, free interbank ATM transactions. And if I talk about the intercharge fees, which is going to be paid by the bank, it will be increased. It has increased from 17 to 19 rupees in case of cash transaction, and non cash transaction को increase करके कितना कर दिया, 6 से 7 रुपए. ये कब होगा? This will be paid by bank, one bank to another bank. अब इसका जो पूरा लॉजिक था, इसके पीछे का जो पूरा गणित था, वो मैंने आपको लास्ट क्लास में समझाया था. आई एम प्रीटी श्योर दैट मस्ट बी क्लियर टू यू. सो दैट विल बी ऑल फ्रॉम माय साइड गाइस. Do not forget to download the PDF of this session, revise it, and एक और रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहूंगा, हर संडे को, जैसे कल संडे है तो आज ही बता रहा हूं, हर संडे को राइट डायरेक्शन में यूटिलाइज करें. एटलीस्ट जो आपके करंट अफेयर्स के सेशंस हुए इवनिंग में और मॉर्निंग में, उन सारे सेशंस की PDF को रिवाइज जरूर करें. जैसा कि मंडे को मनीष सर का सेशन होगा 5 बजे, ट्यूसडे को मेरा सेशन हुआ, तो इन टोटल 6 सेशन आपके हुए. उन 6 के 6 सेशंस की PDF आपके पास है. संडे शुड बी यूटिलाइज टू रिवाइज द PDF ऑफ ऑल द 6 सेशंस व्हिच यू हैव appeared, which you have attended in this week itself. ये रिवीजन काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है. ये साइंटिफिक रूल है. ये साइंटिफिक रूल है. अगर आप किसी डेटा को पढ़ते हैं, उसे रिवाइज करते हैं विदिन 24 आवर्स, फिर उसके बाद दोबारा रिवाइज करते हैं विदिन 7 डेज, फिर दोबारा रिवाइज करते हैं 28 डेज में, 24 आवर्स, 7 डेज एंड देन 28 डेज. अगर ऐसा आपने फॉलो किया तो साइंटिफिकली प्रूवन है कि आप उस डेटा को कभी भूलोगे नहीं. यू मस्ट फॉलो दैट. दिस इज रियली वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Got it, guys? So that will be all from my side. We'll catch you in the next session. Do not forget to hit the like button. If you have joined me for the very first time on this YouTube channel, do subscribe the channel and do share the link of this session with your friends. And in the comment section below, give me an answer. Number of white label ATM service providers in India. Can you give me the number of white label service providers in India? We have 10 companies, 20 companies, 11 companies who have received the license from RBI to operate as or to give the facility of white label ATM. So it's a good question. You need to search for this, find out the answer, and do comment the answer in the comment section below. Thank you so much. Good luck. God bless you all.